sit there so I can poke at you.
That's good.
Make snide
Hey, good
comments.
evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody to the November 12th meeting of the Greencastle Common Council. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome everyone. Linda will be here in a second to call roll. Cody, we're passing out the street closure request that was basically explained in your packet.
Okay.
Do you need one?
Have one? If not, it's fine.
The map is still the same.
Got the lazy to shoot them online. Easier. Truth is, I read them online. I like it better that way. I like reading them online better.
I'm sure.
It's easier, you know. It's,
Okay. Councilor Mark Hammer.
Here.
Councilor Adam Cohen.
Here.
Councilor Stacy Langdon.
Here.
Councilor Veronica Pedro. Here. Councilor Cody Eckert.
Here.
Councilor Dave Murray. Here. And Councilor Jacob Widener.
Here.
Okay, do we have anyone in the audience that has any public petitions or comments for items that are not already on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to call Lori Hardwick and Rod Weinshank to the podium for a special presentation.
We'll make this brief. As most, what was that? Somebody say woo. As most of you, or many of you know, City of Greencastle is losing a very important person to our community. Leslie Hansen is moving away and leaving us and going off to the west in later this month. So we want to recognize her because she has been such an important part of our community for so many decades. I want to talk a little bit about her involvement with the League of Women Voters. She has worked tirelessly. She has been the biggest defender of transparency. It's hard to do this with this on. Sorry, Leslie, if you can't hear it. Leslie, with COVID, I swear it won't be a super spreader event, but we could have one for you, Leslie, because there would be plenty of people who would be here for that if we got the word out. But times are difficult, so we have to make this a modified event for you. So I'm sorry about that, because we could have a big open house for you if they were different times. But anyway, she has been a champion of transparency and the open door law and access to public records. I have leaned on her more times than I can count, not just with city, in fact, usually not with city events, but with other boards and looking into different things. And I know it has been to her own personal detriment at times, but she has been brave in confronting issues, and I just want her to know how much it has been appreciated and how much she will be missed. And that's just one little portion of all of your contributions to the city. So, Rod?
Leslie, I want to thank you for everything that you have done for the Greencastle Park and Recreation Department. I met you a little over 2.5 years ago. Excuse me, 20.5 years ago. Sorry, but they've all kind of, it seems just like yesterday anyway. But 20.5 years ago we met. Just November 25th will be my 20th anniversary being with the city. And I cannot first of all, I can't believe it's 20 years already, but underneath your leadership, your tutelage, mentorship, how we have been able to build the Greencastle Park and Recreation Department from the one park that we had when I first started, and now we've got one 28, 30-acre park, and now we're up to over 140 and numbering about 8. But your contribution has gone beyond the leadership for the, say, the Greencastle Board of Park Commissioners, but you've also helped build parks, for example, helping us with donations at Big Walnut Sports Park, and helping us build the leagues that we currently have, the programs that we currently have. But again, I want to thank you for offering your leadership and helping me grow here in Greencastle over the last 20 years. And you are going to be missed, all right? I really enjoyed the phone calls and the talks that we've had when you were on the board. But again, thank you. I do want to wish you the best in your move. And again, I'm going to miss you.
Hey, now we'd like to call up a former mayor, one who started all of this.
I'm going to pass.
Well, thank you very much. Leslie, what a tremendous honor to be here tonight to talk about you and all of your many accomplishments. As mayor, the council and certainly the mayor and clerk treasurer are aware, it's so important to get volunteers to serve on boards and commissions. And I think a lot of the community doesn't realize that that is part of city government, and that we lean on them heavily for them to help us. And so I was so incredibly brilliant as to ask Leslie Hansen to join the park board. The budget at the time, the park budget was $50,000 and the cemetery budget was $200,000. So we went about the business of making the cemetery self-supporting with the leadership of all of those folks, which gave Leslie and her park board additional funds that they could hire Stan Lambert, our first recreation director, for them to improve all the things that needed improving in the parks. I knew that she was aggressive, but I don't think I ever realized what a community activist she was. So then the pool. We had a problem with the swimming pool, and it was a wonderful pool that the J.C.'s had built years and years ago, but it was leaking water so badly that in 1990, it may have been late 89, Leslie came to me and said, Mayor, we're going to need to build a new pool. And I said, okay, what do you need? And so we helped her, get architectural renderings, find out what the finances were going to be. And Leslie encouraged me to raise taxes in an election year to build a new pool, which we did. So I think then, after she had gone door to door with a lot of her other volunteers, signing petitions and showing all the citizens exactly how much the pool was going to cost, what it was going to cost them personally, she led that effort. And then all these people needed something to do to continue to be involved in the parks that they so loved. So then Leslie and her gang decided that we would create Friends of the Park. Well, you all know what Friends of the Park have done for the park over all these years. So are we going to miss Leslie Hansen? Yeah, we're going to really, really miss her. But I think it's important for her to know how much we treasure her. And thank God DePaul University had the wisdom to hire Brian as a professor, or we would have missed out on all of this. Maybe somebody would have stepped up, but Leslie's a very, very special person. Her family is special. They've been engaged in the community. And so, Leslie, I cannot thank you enough for everything you've done for Greencastle. You have made such a huge, huge difference. Thank you.
Okay. And one more, we have one more speaker. And also, thanks to Brian, because you did a heck of a job with BZA and Plan Commission and helping us for years and years and years, and that I don't want that to go unnoticed. So we have, so I want to make sure that gets said. We also have another former mayor who would like to say something. There was a mayor in between. She could not be here tonight, but she, I know, would have wished you very, very well. And I'm sure you'll hear from her soon. So,
Hey, thank you, Leslie. Wow. I think it was Margaret Mead who reminded us all to never forget what a group of thoughtful and committed citizens can do to change the world. We have had our own thoughtful and committed citizen for over 20 years. She has made thousands of us more informed voters. She has made government throughout Putnam County more transparent. She has made us all better politicians along the way, and you have, until this very last few weeks, gone ahead and continued to try and bring equality and tolerance and understanding to many of us in this community by having the last few weeks of the League of Women Voters sessions on how to be a better ally. And as you're going through your transformation, as you're moving, you were still there every week, cheering us all on and helping us all understand why this is important, why it's part of our lives, and why we can't give up. So look out, Phoenix. Leslie, yeah, look out. Leslie, please remember the pavement does boil in the summer, so watch where you're walking, and you will be desperately missed because we are all better people and we are a better community because of you. Thank you.
Well, to all those wonderful words, I would like to say ditto, because I feel exactly the same way. Over the years, I've enjoyed a lot of conversations back and forth, and certainly the transparency discussions we've had over the years have helped me in my current position. So it gives me great honor to read our very modest token of appreciation, but hopefully a small remembrance that will become a part of your new home out west. In appreciation for over 30 years of dedicated service and support to the City of Greencastle and its citizens through her work on the Greencastle Board of Park Commissioners, the many hours spent through her work with the League of Women Voters, supporting citizens and teachers as a co-owner of Bright Futures, and I can tell you my wife misses that store, and her dedication to ensuring transparency in public institutions, the City of Greencastle would like to thank Leslie Hansen for her many years of selfless service to our community, presented this day, November 12th, 2020, and I'll try to see how this works. We'll get this to you so you can enjoy it, and as I say, I hope it is a fond memory that becomes part of your new home in Phoenix.
Can I?
Yes, you are more than welcome to say a few words.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that. I don't have anything written down. But, you know, we moved here over 30 years ago. I think it was 34 years ago. I moved here pregnant with a 3-year-old at the time, and I didn't know how bright my future would be when I moved here. I moved here sight unseen. And I have appreciated all the opportunities that I have had here, all the work that I've been able to do, and I appreciate all the people in the room there that I can't be with tonight, but the people that have worked with me and taught me and mentored me along the way. I've really appreciated my time here. This has become my home, and it is bittersweet to leave. But I appreciate all your kind words this evening. Thank you.
You know, you're always welcome to come back and see us, and we thought we might get you a subscription to several local government meeting feeds so you wouldn't be bored out there. So please, when you're back in this part of the country, stop in and say hello, by all means.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lori, and Rod and Sue and Bill and Mike. I appreciated your words tonight.
Leslie, it's Cody here. It's been great getting to know you in my time on the council. You know, in the conversations I've had with you, I've certainly fed off your energy and felt emboldened to ask tough questions as I've gotten the lay of the land here in Greencastle. So thank you for your example. You're going to leave big shoes to fill.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And if anybody needs a copy of the Open Door Law and Access to Public Records Act, I still
You mean you don't want to take those to Phoenix with you?
well, their law's a bit different. I'm going to have to learn it.
There you go. Yeah, I'm sure.
What about Phoenix?
You'll have it learned by Christmas, I bet. Well, Leslie, this is Mark, and 30 years ago, approximately, we met, and you recruited me to be on the Park Board of Commissioners, and you know, I worked with you with your business, and got to know your family, and our kids grew up together, and it's just I just wish you well, and I hate to see you go. So, best wishes in Arizona.
I guess, Leslie, this is Adam. I mean, you've pushed me in many different ways, both spiritually and in open door laws, but I don't know if people realize that Big Walnut Sports Park would not have been part of the city if it wasn't for Leslie, because I was the president of the park at the time, and she was the one, and only Leslie's way starts with a little nibble in your ear. Could we do this? And then she kept growing, and she finally guided me into the park board meeting to get it turned over. So it's just another little asset that I don't know if people knew that, because Big Walnut probably would not have made it without being turned over to the city. So thank you for that too.
Leslie, this is Stacy, and Bill made the comment, big shoes to fill. I don't think anyone could fill your shoes. I think we were so fortunate to have you in our community, and we'll be talking about Leslie Hansen for years to come, in positive ways. And you've been committed, you've been engaged, you've been dedicated, and you will truly be missed. And I think there's more chapters ahead, and I'm sure you'll do great things in Arizona.
But we'll be talking about her in groups of less than 4. Yeah. Leslie, less than 4. We know the rules.
Leslie, this is Veronica. We've not known each other quite as long as some of the other folks in the room here, but I would like to think that we might still have the opportunity to continue to learn more about each other, even at a distance, as we've all found ways to keep in touch, particularly over the last 8 months. I appreciate the good work that you have always shown for our community, holding everyone's feet to the fire, including my own, regarding transparency and regarding accountability for everything that we do. I would like to hope that we can all take a little bit of Leslie with us each time that we enter the public sphere, and I value you, and will continue to do so wherever you may be.
Leslie, Dave here. Sue has already spoken to the Murrays. The only thing I would add is Greencastle school board meetings will never, ever be the same.
Leslie, Jake Widener here. I'm very new to council here, so I don't think we've had the opportunity to meet and chat very much other than through the Become a Better Ally series, so I am enjoying my experience, definitely being exposed to some new ideas through that program. So although I don't think we've ever even met in person, I do appreciate that program, and I can't appreciate much more based on what everybody said here tonight. So I wish you the best in your move. I was spending a little time in the Phoenix area just a few months ago, and it's beautiful. So enjoy that area, and thank you for everything.
Thanks, Leslie.
Can I say one more thing?
She's saying.
Is she talking?
Go ahead. Do you want to say something?
You know, I appreciate the accolades.
We're not. It's not getting picked up on your mic very well.
Hold on, I'll move closer to my mic. I just wanted to say, I appreciate all the accolades this evening, but the work I've not done alone. I joined the League of Women Voters when I moved here, and through their support and mentorship and the programming that they do, I found my voice. And then there were people in this community that helped me raise my voice. None of the work that I've done has been alone. It's been in partnership with some wonderful people in this community. And I know that they'll continue on with the work also. And I am just in awe of what this community has become over the years, how it's grown, how it's gotten better, how it's become more welcoming. I just have appreciated so much. And I'm glad I'm not there in person, or I'd be crying. So this
I want you to know we're all wearing our masks. So, Godspeed to you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to stick around and listen to the rest of the meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
Been there.
In the continued spirit of open government, our next item of business is the public hearing on the water rates.
No?
Oh, I'm sorry, street closure request, sorry. So, Gail Smith, would you like to step forward and talk about your Jingle Jam?
Thank you. Well, I'm in shock. Leslie's leaving? Oh, I wouldn't have known that. Her and I have been on a couple of adventures, and definitely have always appreciated her outlook and her advice. And yeah, she's going to be missed. She's going to be missed. But happy trails, and stay safe, and gosh, I just can't believe it. Well, I'm here to request a street closure and a rolling street closure, if you wonderful people will agree to this. But we want to do a Jingle Jam 5K, which is pretty much the same as the Shamrock 5K that we did in March. Same route, everything's pretty much the same, except it's Christmas, and we were thinking of doing something just to give a little bit of life in during the holiday season. Of course, we've made some changes with this event in the fact that it's basically just a 5K run. We're not having any events afterwards. When it's over, it's over. People can go home, or they can shop downtown, or really whatever they want to do, but we're not going to have food outside or a beer garden, or definitely not a band. But it's just kind of a fun thing to kick off for downtown Greencastle, and it's outside. Obviously you'll have to wear a mask before you take off running. It's not you can't necessarily wear a mask when you're running, but the rule is you have to put one on, have it in your pocket, and put it right back on when you're finished. So that is basically the gist of it. We'll need the streets closed from 7 a.m. until noon. The run starts at 10, and most everybody will be finished by 11. We're hoping people come out dressed up as Santa Clauses, or Elf on the Shelf, or it should be very colorful. But it's just a fun event that we felt like we wanted to do. We talked about it after our successful Shamrock 5K, which we did. We were able to raise some money for the Greencastle Music Fest. This is not our goal this year. I mean, we'd like to break even, but it's more about awareness for things just fun, something fun to do downtown during the holidays. And anyway, I hope you'll consider it.
Jill, have you talked about this with Chief Sutherland? Is everything?
No, I have not, but Brooke Trissell's on my committee, and I felt like this step was the first big step before I go any farther.
Is Chief on Zoom tonight, Bill?
Tom, are you online tonight?
Yes, Mayor, I'm here.
Okay. We're talking about the Jingle Jam 5K run, which is basically the same route as was used for the Shamrock Run. And this will be on Saturday, December 12th. Do you see any issues with that?
No, I do not.
Okay, and we'll get you a map. And then Gail will probably be in contact with you as she determines the number of people that have signed up and will be participating, so you get a little better feel for the crowd that's expected. There won't be any other activities after it, as she noted.
Okay, thank you.
And then Lori, what do you need? Nothing? No releases?
I will contact DePaul too. I know the last time it was a little bit of we had to go through a couple hoops through DePaul, but they're not going to be in session, so we shouldn't have any issues there. Mm-hmm. But they'll be part of my process.
Yeah, and their construction's all done along the route too, mm-hmm. So it should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Motion, Dave?
Anybody have any questions?
I can make a motion to approve it.
I'll be happy to second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the special event street closure request. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, Cody, is that an aye from you as well?
Aye.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Hope the weather cooperates for you.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's okay. It can rain. It can, just get your Santa hats out and your Santa masks, and we'll put some cheer in downtown Greencastle. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Gail.
Our next item of business is the public hearing on the water rate increase. This is the hearing on ordinance 2020-9. As part of that process, all of our water customers were notified, and the information was also posted here at City Hall, at the courthouse, and at the library is required to post in 3 different places. So I will open the floor for any questions or comments from any members of the public or from anybody who may have zoomed into the meeting. Do you want to come up to the
Come on up, Wally.
podium?
It's probably more informational gathering, some questions.
Okay, sure. If you would, for Linda's benefit, if you would give and for those online, give your name and address, please.
Wallace Hinkle, 926 North Madison Street.
Thank you.
Okay. Looking at the bills, looking at bill and stuff, and looking at the monthly metered rate, does the first 2,000 cubic feet, is that what is considered a unit that shows up on our bill, like 2 units of service for charges?
You have, are you at 2? Is that what you?
Excuse me?
So basically,
is that in thousands, or is that?
it's 100 cubic. So you're a unit 2 is what we consider up to a 2 as a minimum bill.
Up to a 2. Now,
Yeah,
is that the 2,000 cubic feet then?
Yes, that's 2,000 cubic feet.
Okay,
And so that minimum bill will go to $10.97.
okay, minimum bill will be 1097.
Yes. And then when you go over that, then it will be at the new rate of $4.92.
Okay, so the 1097 up to that is,
Yeah, so it's
We're
$10.97.
below-
If you go to a 3, then it would be $4.92 times 3.
okay, that's a number 3.
And then it goes, 4 times the 492, 5 times, 6 times, on up to
20 times.
20 times.
Okay, now is that on 2,000?
2,000?
2,000 cubic feet
is-
increments, or is that on
No,
1,000?
it's on 100,
Just on
100 cubic.
okay, so,
And
This is question is like mine goes from 522 to 525 for total consumption of 3. Is that 300 cubic feet?
Yes, that's 300 cubic feet. A 3 is equal to 300 cubic.
okay, a 3.
Each one is equal, so one, if you
It's
don't
each
have
one
one.
is equal to 100.
Yeah, that's, okay.
Okay, each one is equal to 100, so
Yes,
then,
sorry.
okay,
Which, that's hard for people to wrap their heads around. I think it's about 758 gallons or
It's
something like that.
748 gallons.
748 gallons, okay. Is 100 cubic feet.
So, 100 cubic feet is equal to 148 gallons.
Okay.
I mean, 748 gallons.
because we're looking at it, because it says 2 units, and it looks like the 2 units are right now currently are about $4 and something, or $9.97, yeah, $9.97, and that's going to
1097.
$10.97.
Which is about 10% higher.
Yeah, your water rates are going up 10%.
Okay.
In 1 year.
The first year.
Yes.
Okay, and the next question is concerning the meter size, and that was a little bit confusing there, because it says water meter 1, and down under the schedule it says a 1-inch meter, so was whether that 1 was just as a single meter, or
So our meters are set up with different, and I'm not the expert on the size of the water meters, but our residential water meters are 5/8 and 3/4 meters.
Okay.
And then depending on the different businesses and types of things, like at Almost Home, you might be a 1-inch meter or 1.5, depending on how much water you want to come quickly into your.
and so the 5/8 and 3/4 are the residential.
It's residential,
A little bit
mostly.
clearing out, because just on the notice, on the bill, it says meter 1, so clarify what all that.
That's the meter in the number of meters you have.
Yeah.
Okay. And then okay, so, and that's a monthly charge of $10.99, so that's,
No, there's not an additional.
that's on the service, service charge, is that monthly metered service charge, is that an add-on, or?
That's the minimum monthly.
That's the minimum monthly you'll pay. So if you're only a 2, then your minimum charge for water will be $10.97.
Okay, so that's a number 2 usage.
Yeah.
Number 3 usage, and that's going up in increments of 100 cubic feet at a time. In other words, 1 is 100, 2 is 200, 3 is 300, 4 is 400.
On up to 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody uses 3, it's going to be 1476. So they won't be the minimum.
Okay, that makes it sound a little bit better. I was doing some calculations and stuff and looking at there. I do have one further question that's not related to the water, but it is related to the utilities, and that is are the trash service charges looking at going up? I believe I read something recently where there was...
Our contract runs out with Republic next year, so after January 1st, we'll be putting that out for bid. What I'm hearing from other mayors around the state, as well as from other vendors, and even at our West Central Solid Waste District, is that we should expect that cost to go up. And we don't have any control over that. We just bid that out, so we're looking for the provider that provides the best service and at the most reasonable cost. we have been very fortunate. A lot of communities are paying double, some triple what we're paying. And we've had that $10 rate for how many years, Linda?
14, I think.
14 years.
14 years.
15 years.
So we've got a pretty good break on that for a long time. The other thing that has happened is our $10 includes recycling, and a lot of communities are having to pay substantially more for recycling, and some communities are having to drop their recycling program because right now the marketplace for recycled products is not very good. We're one of the few communities around the state that we can still dispose of glass in our recycling, for example, because basically there's no market for glass anymore.
Right, I understand, yeah.
We were lucky, we locked into an extension on our contract before the market changed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the company's not thrilled about that. We're locked in until November 2021.
Yeah, I'm sort of asking that question and looking forward and stuff concerning fixed income types of things, because the services and things keep adding up, because I just noticed on our electric bill just recently that there is a meter surcharge now on that, monthly surcharge. And that's why I sort of misread this meter service down here, is because looking at it as as like an add-on service instead of increasing the rates, you're doing an add-on service, and these things start accumulating over time with.
We're not doing the add-on service, right?
No.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, I believe that answers.
Okay.
I just had questions like.
Sure. And you're always welcome to call in too if something should come up, you know. I mean, we'll probably, council will take action on the ordinance tonight, but if you have other questions, you know, feel free to call and we'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to come on up, sir? And likewise, if you could state your name and your address.
John Fuller, 97 Autumn Glen Drive. The first thing, just with the water rates and everything, you guys made a big thing about transparency, which I'm happy about. And maybe it has been posted and I missed it in the paper and everything else, but doing a quick calculation, like I said, it's going from, I think, 4.47 to 4.92, which is a 10% hike. 492 to 517 is another 5. 517 to 549 is another 6, for almost a 23% increase in 3 years. I think everybody will agree that's steep. I didn't get a 23% raise. None of my other bills have gone up 23%. So I'd like to know, what are the economic drivers that are really driving that? Because that's pretty steep. Now, everybody will say, oh, it's just 49 cents or 50 cents, but when you look at the percentages, and when you look at when people, you know, everybody wants to say COVID-19 right now, and it's hitting people hard, well, you're going to increase the rates when other people are hurting right now. So I just wanted to know from the council, like, it might have been posted, I might have missed it, but the main economic drivers behind it.
Jimmy, go ahead and answer
Yeah, go
that.
ahead.
Well, we have not raised our water rates since 14?
Yeah, 2014.
2014. Like everything else, the expenses continue to go up at the water plant. So our last water rate increase was 53%.
Well, what's going up there? I guess that's my, is there information?
What's going up?
Yeah, is there information out there saying what's, you know, is it labor, is it overhead?
So labor, part of this is we do have a 5-year capital project because our infrastructure in the city of Greencastle is very old. Mm-hmm. So we have water lines we have to replace. Now,
so is that part of it then?
That's part of it. So our infrastructure is part of it, labor, chemicals. We are always getting some sort of mandate from IDEM that says we have to do certain things with our water and our wastewater. Now, the nice thing, a couple years ago, so when we raised the 53%, I don't know if you lived in Greencastle, but we now have the nice, pretty blue water tower out at the wastewater treatment plant. That was a result of our water being under the influence, because we do get our water close to the Big Walnut River there. And it seeps over into our wells, so then we have to do another treatment. And at that point, we also had to have very highly licensed water operators, and so that's part of the case, and that all goes up. So we have an IDEM came in and said we had to do
$2 million plus all the people.
Okay. Is this laid out anywhere? Like I said, I'm just asking, for, like, is that kind of information out there to the public?
Well, when it happened several years ago, it was a huge...
Where?
Yes.
That's all I need.
Short answer is yes, but it's probably several years old.
Okay.
Because what basically in English, what happened was we went from being a water producer to a major water producer. We suddenly, and then the state came out and said, we're not groundwater anymore, we're groundwater under the influence of the creek running by. Whether that was right or wrong doesn't matter. So suddenly, we had new operators out there, we had to redo the way we treat our water. The expense at the time got a fair amount of publicity in town, and it was astronomical. And there's no going back on it. Once they make this ruling, this is their ruling.
It was because we went over 10,000 in the last census. We went over 10,000 people, so different rules apply. So even if we go under 10,000 this time, it doesn't matter. We're always going to be under the influence. So we're always going to have these 24-hour-a-day, highly certified people that we have to have.
In fact, at first we couldn't even hire. We scrambled because we couldn't find anybody to. What level do they have to be?
AT5 is what
That's it. I try to block that word out of my mouth. Because I couldn't find any.
Budget. We have the 5-year plan, so we can make that available.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking. That'd be great.
Just like you and your household, when Duke Energy does a rate increase, we get hit with the same rate increase.
Oh, I understand that.
So, and I can assure you that a lot of work by our department people, our clerk treasurer, and city council went into this to try to keep it as reasonable as possible. And we're also having the works applying for a grant that can hopefully underwrite some of the cost of the capital improvement projects. That if we're successful in getting it, that will, perhaps prevent future rate increases down the road.
Okay.
The other thing is we already are benefiting. You may be aware that INDOT's going to come through and rebuild US 231. As part of that project, they've asked us to replace the water line out there.
Okay.
And fortunately, very fortunately, that's about a $2 million project. INDOT is going to pay 80% of it. And our redevelopment commission, not our water rate users, is going to pay the other 20%. So that $2 million benefit for the community is not even going to be funded by ratepayers, but it's a critical piece of infrastructure because it's one of our main water lines that feeds the whole community.
Okay.
So we're trying to do the best we can to look at some other ways that we can sort of mitigate and manage any potential rate increase on the users.
No, that'd be great though if I could see the budget. That would answer a lot of my questions.
Many of the meetings were at Board of Works meetings, but we've had at least a half dozen public meetings on this particular subject with the council, with Board of Works, talking about all our public meetings with Eric available. I
understand that.
Linda, where would the best place should he call you to get
you can
documents?
I'm the clerk treasurer.
She's the number person.
Yeah. So if you wanna,
I'm a budget person myself.
If you want to come in, we can sit down and I can go through it with you.
That water main dates back to the 1800s.
Really?
1831.
And
I believe it does. And we're not in the same thing as every other time we've passed water rate increases. It went hand in hand with the sewage rate increase, and we're not doing a sewage rate increase. We don't feel like we'll need one for the foreseeable future.
And
which is a larger number than the water number.
Right.
We know the timing's not good. We should have done this 2 years ago. It's bad timing for Greencastle Schools. It's bad timing for DePaul. But we got to pay catch up. And the thinking was if we do 10%, then 5%, then 6%, it's better than 21% out of the gate, and like Mayor Dory said, maybe we won't have to do that last increase if we can get the grant dollars. So we realize that it's not good timing, but our hands are kind of tied because we've put it off for so long, for 7 years, right?
Well,
But we kind of came to the point where we needed to.
Yeah, none of the things driving it is we are starting to see now. We saw shrinking margins in past years. We still made money, so to speak. But now we're not making money. We're not able to, put money back for future capital projects and infrastructure improvements. So that's kind of what's driving this.
And as our newest council member points out correctly, we probably need to look at this a little more often to see if there's a way to spread it out. But on the other hand, they've had 6 years of no increase, so I don't know what's better or worse, but we've committed to looking at it more often.
Well, and I appreciate your comment on, I know it's probably been out there, like some other citizens of the community, I don't work here and it's hard for me to get to, all the meetings and everything. So last question that I have, more, I guess, a funny one. Why is water taxed? On my bill? I know, why?
It's a product, yeah.
That just always.
Electricity.
Yeah, I know, I understand. That
We don't
just always.
tax your sewage, though.
The sewage is not taxed.
That always.
They don't care about that. It's a service.
Take it away.
And you know what's crazy? We even get taxed on top of the sales
On
tax
that,
too.
yeah.
We pay a utility rate tax on top of the water too,
So
so.
we do feel your pain.
We're taxed additionally too, so.
Our hands are definitely tied on that one, because the state of Indiana says.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Wally.
Okay, any other further comments from the audience? Any comments from anyone online? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2020-9.
Second.
Is that Adam?
Yep.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Public hearing is closed. Department reports were included in your packet. We do have several of our department heads online. I think Ernie, Oscar, Rod, I'm sure, will be happy to do some marketing for the Parks Department. So, Rod, if you want to come up and...
You had your time up
Got
here,
2
Rod.
minutes.
I'll keep it short.
You got 2 minutes, I'm setting my timer.
That's fine. All right, 20 years ago, I received direction from the park board president at the time never to pass up an opportunity to promote our program. So that's why I'm here, okay? And that lady we just honored tonight. All right, I want to start off by tomorrow night, we have a seasonal pie baking contest and fundraiser. We decided to go ahead and do this. I've got a judge who is Serve Safe, has a Serve Safe certification. Serve Safe. Anyway, we do have an entry fee of $5 per pie. We're at the Inn at DePaul in the Galleria room. Tomorrow night, you can submit your pie at 4:30, judging's at 5, and then awards. And we are selling the whole pies as a fundraiser at 6:30, awards to the first, second, third place. Our categories are pumpkin pie, fruit pie, and nut pie, and right after the meeting, I'm going to attempt a fruit pie this year for the contest, okay?
What did you have last year?
I had the key lime pie, and I got second place. I'm hoping to at least maintain second place finish, okay? And then I do want to promote that we are accepting registrations right now for our youth basketball program. We are working with the Greencastle Community School Corporations. We will be doing the social distancing, face coverings. We are closely watching the state and just reviewed the information we received today in regards to yellow, orange, and red counties. We are still in the yellows, which is good. But we'll watch that as we progress towards November 26th, when we'll actually make the decision in regards to the program. But I do want to promote that we have Breakfast with the Grinch this year, Saturday, December 12th. We are moving it from the Putnam Inn, which is it's a small room. And we are going to the Owl Ridge Wedding and Event Center on Saturday morning, December 12th from 10 to 11:30. I believe this is Rhonda the Brotherton's family second site. That wedding venue holds up to 300 people. We're looking at trying to fit in up to 100 people so that we can social distance and spread out during the event. Anyway, we can register for all of our programs on www.greencastleparks.com. We are asking that all youth basketball participants register online. We are registering at this time without payment required. However, please note that we will bill everybody once we determine the program is going to go on at November 26th. All right. Any questions regarding those 3 programs? All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Hope you can have all of them.
I'm hoping, yes, same here.
Any other department heads want to make any comments? Those of you who are online? Any questions for anybody?
Brad, are you there?
Brad's on vacation.
Oh, that's right. Anyway, I think the leaf season's going well, and it got off to an early start.
Yeah,
but
we're glad we did.
The department has done an excellent job, I think, of staying up with it. It's always very much appreciated.
Yeah.
They've talked about it a lot lately, and about how many leaves, that it's been more than ever, they think, and especially this week. This week has been a huge week, and so many thanks to them, because they've been working and they're exhausted. So
Yeah.
it's been a big week.
Maybe since it started early, maybe it won't be so much at the end right there after Thanksgiving when they, because I think they're going through just through the end of November or early December.
Yeah.
November.
November 30th? Yeah. Okay.
And they started unofficially 2 weeks early in October, and I think we're glad they did.
Yes.
So. Okay. Well, any further questions for department heads? Department heads, you're released, so please enjoy the rest of your evening, but you're always welcome to stay. I'll do a quick report. First off, Mask Up, Putnam County. We are one of the few counties that are still in a yellow category. I'm not sure how long that's going to last, given the trends around the state.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry?
At least till next Wednesday.
Yeah. So I would encourage everybody to mask up. It's a small price to pay for being a citizen here of our community, to protect both yourself and your neighbor. I'd like to mention that the Chamber and Main Street are working on some activities for Small Business Saturday, as well as the weeks before and through the Christmas holidays. Small Business Saturday is November 28th, so please shop and eat locally. We are continuing to promote wearing masks and things like that amongst our employees, and I think everybody's doing a pretty good job of it. Other projects, Vectren Gas Line, they're doing some of the restoration work, sidewalks and pavement. Zinc Mill Road, if you get a chance to go down there, they are getting a lot of the paving done and sidewalk work, and I just happened to drive by there 5 o'clock yesterday to check on the project, and believe it or not, somebody was already walking on the new section of pathway to get some exercise. So that's good. I would like to once again thank all of our staff for working with the coronavirus issue, and I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our community as a whole. I was on a Zoom meeting today with about 60 other mayors around the state, and I will tell you, there are a lot of counties and communities that are not cooperating. There are health departments around the state that have basically washed their hands of this whole activity. Hospitals are not working well with their county health departments. That is truly not the case here in Putnam County. Everybody's working hard together. The Mask Up campaign is a multi-joint effort of folks between our health department, our hospital. We're participating in it, supporting it. The county is. So there's a lot of good people across the county, across multiple levels of government, that are working hard to support our communities. That includes the schools, includes DePaul, a whole host of people. So any support, being examples is greatly appreciated. DePaul Projects, we're working with them. I've talked to Warren Weitzel, Bob Leonard, and Rob Harper. We'll probably have a meeting here in the next couple of weeks to review our agreement with them. They are working on the parking study, and then we'll also probably be looking at some amendments should the decision be made to go ahead with the library project. They are now restoring sidewalks and curbs on Locust Street because of the delay of Rest Hall 2. The parking lot project is open and done. Landscaping has been installed, and then Jackson Street and the stormwater drainage project is complete. So right now things are still a little up in the air as the board continues to look at direction and financial situations. Continue to work on the Y project. Been spending some time on site planning efforts, and we should have some schematic design work to share with the community here shortly. Pool improvements. Rod, have they started on phase 2? I know they were not quite yet. Okay.
Next week is the word I got.
Okay. They've been giving, they're okay to proceed, so they're gearing up. If you get a chance, probably if the weather cooperates, next week they're supposed to pave the boys parking lot out at Big Walnut, but they've got a lot of the storm drainage in and the starting to work on curb and sidewalk pieces and things like that out there. That's going to be a great addition to Big Walnut. Street repaving is complete. Sidewalk project was awarded. They do have until June of next year. If weather cooperates, they want to work on some shorter segments, the contractor can do so. Again, a lot of home construction going on, continued effort at Whispering Winds, and then also continued effort with the new apartment projects. So that's kind of a quick overview. Wayfinding signs are in production, so I'll have some more information about that coming up shortly. So.
Good.
Will we see those signs, some of them soon?
Yeah, I think so. I don't. Some of it will depend on weather, but they're in production. They'll probably spend a fair amount of time installing them because they'll have to do locates, put the foundations in, then mount them up.
Mayor, I have a question about, I believe Arlington Street was the gas line project with Vectren, is that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I noticed just the past couple of weeks, it looks like they tore up a lot of the areas that they patched and then redid it or something like, so I guess it's a concern or a question about if that's like standard protocol or if the patching, because I noticed even driving down that road, I mean, it was very uneven and very bumpy, and I've had a couple people comment about it as well. So has that project gone smoothly, or is there a,
I've not been overly happy with their schedule, but it was a fairly extensive project. Work started back in March. They replaced about 7,000 feet of gas line, and in addition to the gas line replacement, they also had to tie in all the connecting lines and all the residential services. So it was a fairly large project. Typically what they will sometimes do, and this I believe happened in this case, they will come in, make what's a temporary patch, and those are the more uneven ones. Then now they're coming back, they'll saw cut out the asphalt and make the final patch. I think they've got most of the sidewalks in where they had to remove sidewalk panels. There may still be a few more that they've got to finish up, but yeah, I expect that the quality of the work will be better than the temporary patches that were put in. But a lot of times, the way Vectren works is they have one crew that does all the pipeline work, and then they have an outside contractor that comes in and does the restoration work, the sidewalk and the pavement.
Okay.
And generally, they do a pretty good job. We've had pretty good luck with them.
Well, yeah, it was just something to mention, and my hope is that the patches that are there now do not start sinking in like the last ones did.
They do a pretty good job. Brad takes good interest in that and makes sure they're following our requirements.
Okay, thank you.
That was one of the things I was going to comment on too, and it was It appears that the patches are their final ones now. There was one that was just atrocious, and it settled big time, and I think that it's, you know, because they went in and excavated this week, and I think as of yesterday they were done with the street. Street looks like a quilt because of all the patches, but it's smooth for now. Let's hope it stays that way.
We'll take a look at Arlington for a future resurfacing project now that the gas lines are done. And the city also has done some valve work on Arlington and Shadowlawn too, so.
Bill, one quick question. In looking at the claims, there was a claim from civil engineering for design of the new Colwood Street lot.
Yeah.
Is that design complete now?
No, we're still working on it.
Only it's still in progress.
We've got some, if you go walk down there, there's some pretty extensive elevation changes at the north end of the lot. We're trying to figure out the best way to deal with that, as to make sure we don't pour water in the neighbor's property. So we got some issues there that we need to look at.
Thank you.
Taking a little longer. Linda?
Just a couple things. I hope you all noticed in your packets the letter, the information from the Putnam County Humane Society. They were going to try to come tonight, but with COVID and everything, they asked if they could just send some information. Everybody that reviewed their claims will see that there's a request for our yearly payment to them. But they kind of gave us some information about that, so I hope, and then hopefully they'll be able to come back next spring or summer to give an update on the Humane Society. The other thing is I think you're all aware that we had our trash day, city trash day, and just a little highlights of that. I got the bill, and you would also see that in the claims, but we had disposed of 11 refrigerators, and there was 15 air conditioners that were brought, 167 TVs. Now, these were not flat screen TVs because they can go into the trash, but these were the old box style TVs, and I think we probably even had a nice 19, I think that was, Bill, 70?
1970s console
TV. Some theater production would have probably loved to have had that for future sets, but we got rid of 126 tires, and then there was ended up 15 of the really, really big trash dumpsters that we had. So it was a successful day, and we will be planning on hopefully being able to do that twice a year. So springtime we'll get together another trash day, and probably we'll hopefully be able to put it together with Clean City Day that the Civic League does or helps us out with. So we'll look forward to taking care of that. So. And those were both claims that were in the packet this time, so.
Do you want to talk about Jax and how helpful they were, and
yes.
Volunteers?
Yeah, we'd really like to give a good thank you to the Greencastle High School Honor Society. They came out and they worked and moved a lot of mattresses. Gosh, I hate to think how many mattresses we had. We probably had 100 mattresses. But those went in the big ones. And then Jack's Trash helped us do this, and they were more than helpful because they didn't really think we would be getting this much debris, and they were able to keep the dumpsters coming. Because I think they only had 9 for us, and we ended up doing 15. Wow. So we appreciate the help that Jack's did in this. So.
And we had several other volunteers, and some of our staff helped too, so a lot of good help on that.
And then Habitat was also out there collecting paint, and they literally got 3 pickup loads full with stacked cans 3 tall. So it was an awful lot of paint because I helped move it. Good. So, yeah, and so what will happen with that is it will go to the recycler, and that paint will then be recycled, and then Habitat will pick up new paint that they'll be able to paint their house. That's being built on the corner of Aubin Pond Road and, well, I would know it as Round Barn Road, but what is it now, Percy? Is it Percy?
It's still Round Barn.
Is it still Round Barn?
There's just not a Round Barn on it anymore.
So anyways. So they appreciate all the paint they receive too.
Linda, do you want to mention the CARES Act funding?
Or I can wait until we get to the resolution on that. Yeah, I've got a couple other things on the agenda, so.
One quick question.
Yes.
Looking at the claims, it said money for social media archive.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah, I can elaborate on that. So Lori might be able to elaborate a little better, but I'll start here. The city has several Facebook pages. Our Facebook page here at City Hall, police has one, fire has one. We also have websites and things like that. So Archive Social is a group of folks that capture that data off of our Facebook pages all the time, 24 hours, 365 days a year. Somebody can post something, and even if they turn around and immediately delete it, they will post that quick response. So we are required as a city to be able to, at any time, people can make record requests of our Facebook, and I have to provide that, and so we now have that to make sure that that happens, so we don't get sued and different things like that. So they're a reputable company, and they are capturing all of that data that happens on our Facebook. So it really has to do with transparency, record retention, all of that. So that's what the Archive Social Media is, social invoice on that is.
Thank you.
Anything you need to add, Lauren?
No, that said it. That said it all.
Going back to the Clean City Day, and in the claims, it's to Jack's Trash is $10,320. I think that's such a valuable service that we provided free to our citizens.
Yes.
15 dumpsters for 10, that's a great deal.
Oh, plus all of our tires and refrigerators.
That's an
TVs.
amazing, I work with some groups in town that order dumpsters. That's an amazing deal.
Yeah, we had a good deal with that. It was a good day.
And this, we did our city one, a week or 2 weeks after the Toxaway Day.
Toxaway Day.
Now, Toxaway doesn't take things like mattresses and certain other things, whereas we can take furniture, mattresses and stuff like that, bicycles and things. But still, I mean, I was surprised the number of TVs that showed up, and even the number of tires, because they do take tires and TVs at Toxaway Day. So, and Toxaway had a good weekend too. So hopefully that just helps remove a lot of junk from the community and surrounding area. So
It doesn't find its way out onto a county road somewhere.
Yeah.
3 miles outside of town or something.
Or dumped illegally.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Dumped illegally outside
Yep.
somewhere, or even inside the city limits, possibly.
Right.
Mark, I'll turn the floor
Okay.
over to you.
Well, Bill already pretty much commented on it. I'm just very proud, and I hope that it stays this way. I mean, there are 5 counties in Indiana that are yellow, and Putnam is one of them. Monroe, Switzerland down in the southeastern corner, Crawford down in the Ohio River, I think Fulton up north. So I'm just really pleased that even though the map there's no blue on the map anymore, but we're not red and we're not orange. And I just hope we can stay that way, and I think it's a tribute, hopefully, to what people are doing here locally, and we need to keep it up. Somebody told me today that Clay County had gone to virtual learning schools, and if we can stay in the yellow, we can keep the schools open, and we can keep extracurricular activities going to a certain extent, and it's so important because that's an essential service, to say the least. So I just encourage you to keep doing what you need to do to keep us in the yellow, and hopefully get to blue. But we've got to reverse the trend, because if you look at the map 3 weeks ago, there's a lot of blue counties, and there's no blue counties anymore. So things are going in the wrong direction, but hopefully we can stay well here locally, and I think it's I think DePauw's done an excellent job. There's a lot of people concerned about bringing in students from all over the country, all over the world. Everything's gone really well. They'll come back then with even more students in February, late January. So hopefully we'll see that the current trend and the responsibilities of the responsible actions of the students. And so anyway, that was my little spiel.
Well, I got a couple things. Since I might criticize DePaul in a second, we'll start with the good. I'm the one who coordinates our contact tracing team, and I'll say this. The coordination I see going on between the health department, DePaul, the hospitals, Bill alluded to it, that's why we're doing so well. And make no mistake, it's an economic issue, because even if the governor keeps us open, if people don't feel comfortable going out, they're not going out. And our students, who sometimes have a justified reputation for being loud, have been amazing. They've put up with quarantines, isolations. We've kept it under check, and they're going home in 7 days, 8 days, and that'll be good.
So Adam, will your swimmers be here in the winter? And
right now,
swim team?
Boy, you just want to put me right on the spot here.
No, I want an intern for the winter.
Well, I can get you that. That's easy. Right now, DePaul is committed to trying to have our winter seasons. And the plan is to bring just the athletes back in January. Obviously, the virus dictates a lot. So does our ability to find people to play. We are hoping to have our swim team and basketball teams back on campus in between December 27th, January 3rd, and our other athletes returning in January, with schools starting kind of a phased approach in February, bringing our students back, and inevitably opening up in March. But, you know, we're working hard to make it happen. I'll tell you as a coach, we are working hard to make the seasons happen because we know that matters to our kids. But the virus will, you know, it's going to dictate it too. We'll just go from there. So if you want an intern, that I can get you. I always have kids that would like to intern for you, Lori, because you spoil them. In fact, one of your old interns, Kurt, who did the park department stuff, was just visiting me, so that was kind of cool. The TV comment made me feel old. I used to have, my family had the 125-inch console TV. I know our young council members won't know what that is. Is it John? I'm sorry, was John was your first name? Yes. I'm sorry. He said something, and it got me thinking, because we were talking about it quickly before the meeting. You know, these meetings now are on Zoom, too, and I know they've put some links up. I don't know how we can get information out better to the community, because I don't know what way. You know, the paper's great because the paper runs stuff. Maybe Eric can put something in about the Zoom links being up now, but I don't know. It just seems like it's harder to get information out. It's like there's so much social media, you don't even know where to turn. I mean, I read the banner every day online. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that one. The other thing, though, and I know, Bill, you alluded to it, and I appreciate you talking to DePaul. I mean, at some point, I have a conflict of interest. I'll just say it up front. I mean, I work for the university, and it's my neighborhood. But at some point, we have to talk about their construction site. First off, they're months overdue on the parking survey. And I'm willing to cut slack. It's COVID. But I encourage you all to drive by the construction site. Because depending how you read our agreement, that site could be there for 7 or 8 years. And I don't think my neighborhood can put up with that. I apologize to my neighbors all the time, but we've got to look at that situation at some point. And because I work for the school and it's my backyard, I can only stay quiet on the issue so long because I do have neighbors that are far more involved. And Cody, you and I probably should talk because it kind of spills into I live at the very tip of my district. You go one house across the street and I'm over in yours. So maybe it's something we can just talk about as we get moving down the road. Because I just don't see that as a viable option. While they shut down and then start up, they're going to keep doing that. Every time they start that process up, and those trucks start pulling in and out of there with their beeping noises at 7 in the morning or even earlier, it's tough on the neighborhood. It's very tough.
Am I right to have heard that DePaul has put a halt to construction?
Yes.
So why would that equipment have to sit there for 7 or 8 years if there's not a project going forward? There's serious budget considerations. And if they're not going to do anything for a year or two or three or four, for that reason, it seems to me that equipment ought to move.
I can only speak as a council member. I definitely do not have authority to speak for DePaul. I think right now, I'm trying to remember, Veronica, the email we got was kind of a temporary freeze while they reevaluate the all-campus email. Maybe we need to get Bob or somebody in here from DePaul. I'll ask him for a statement. I can't speak for DePaul. I can barely speak for the athletic department, but you're right. I think it's tough, very tough right now in that neighborhood. And I think the uncertainty is what makes it even tougher. You know, I think if the neighbors just knew what was going to happen, they would feel a little better. I know Bill is working on it, and I appreciate that, and he's offered that I'll go to one of the meetings. I appreciate that. I just want to at least get it out there so my neighbors know I'm aware of it, and I want to make sure council's aware of it. And you're right, I don't know how long it'll sit there. I don't know how long the fence will stay up.
I don't remember, Adam, about, do we require buffering even for that? I mean, if it's going to be a permanent...
We didn't envision, when we wrote, nobody envisioned COVID. You have to read it, because I read it, Lori, and I read two different legal interpretations in there about how that...
I'll have to read it again, it's been too long.
I mean, there's one way to read that it needs to be out this summer, there's another way to read it that it has a long time to go. And I'm not interested in bringing, you know, I'm willing to sit down and we look at it, because obviously COVID's different. But if you could look at it, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned that actually there used to be an alley there, Bill told me the other day. I went out and looked for that alley, Bill. I could not find that alley.
Well, that's why I say it's never been improved, so it'd be hard to find.
I went out and did a little investigating. I'm sure you're right. I just got to chuckle when you said, yeah, Adam, you know, actually your garage runs on an alley. I said, what alley? But it's there. So we'll maybe turn that over to Lori for a month from now. Just one more thing for you, Lori.
I'll take a look at it.
Thanks.
I mean, I think, you know, obviously DePaul has some uncertainty in what's happening with theirs, and the new president does have a strategic planning effort going on. Some of you may have received an invitation to participate in that. They're moving to their next phase, and part of that next phase is to reach out in the community. So
that really shouldn't halt any parking study, period.
Well, I've been hammering them on the parking study, so.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, we will work with DePaul to make it work. We just have to come to a conclusion. That's all I got.
I have nothing.
I don't have much left after everybody else has said what they're going to say.
Yeah.
I appreciate that it's already been uplifted, that there's only 5 counties that aren't under some manner of restriction under the new restrictions from the state. If you haven't had the opportunity to see the Wednesday update from Governor Holcomb, I invite you to listen to his sobering words. They are widely available in all the usual places that the state of Indiana puts such things, and among the considerations of warnings right now is that it's considered that our small congregate social settings in homes for the holidays may be the next thing that's going to be kicking our positivity rate up even higher. Please make wise choices when it comes to your family. You know, if you have immune compromised folks in your family or other at-risk folks, please take those things into consideration as you consider bursting at any family bubbles, so to speak. And with that, I'll just close by wishing a big thank you to the entire community for helping us be one of those 5 counties that has kept our positivity rate lower than the other counties. And I'll turn it over to Dave.
The Colts are kicking off in 1 minute, so I'll be really brief. I talked to Kara Gooden today at Old National Bank, and I wanted to know if we needed to extend the opportunity for them to have their mobile banking in front of Tap House Burgers. In fact, they are moving it tomorrow to property north of PNC Bank on land that the bank owns. They're going to set it up over there. It's next door to HMSB Insurance Company, and that's what will be the location of that mobile ATM for public information.
Okay. When will the new bank open? Do you know, Dave? Did she mention?
January, I think.
Is it
January.
Yeah, I think it's the second weekend of January. They're not going to be open, like Saturday.
Okay, that's right.
Maybe part of Friday.
I got a notice about that. That's right.
Just want to call attention to the Ivy Tech ASAP cohort, which I have the pleasure of leading, and want to thank Rod, who I believe is still back there, for partnering with us to do a service project and repaint the Calvert Way shelter there across from Walmart. So if you haven't seen it yet, drive by it. I think there's a before and after picture somewhere. So we're grateful for that opportunity. Grateful for the work that's been done on the Habitat for Humanity build. We have about 90% of the roof installed, lacking the shingles at this point, and then just wishing a happy Thanksgiving to all that celebrate that holiday together.
And Mr. Mayor, other than the fact that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are undefeated, I have nothing new to report.
Well, I want to know if you've got any good word for the COVID outbreak after everybody ran on the field the other day at that great celebration.
Well, all I can tell you is that my freshman year we went 3-9, and I think we started 0-5 or 0-6. And after our first win, campus exploded. So nothing on this earth was going to stop that student body from storming the field.
It was a good game. Do you have anything else you'd like to say, Cody?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Sums it up.
Our next item of business is approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes, one from the regular session of October 8th and the second from the regular or special section of October 22nd.
I move that they both be approved.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
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 Okay, those pass. Next item of business is approval of city claim, and I believe Mr. Hammer has those ready.
In reviewing the claims, we have a payroll of $644,214.37.
Which is three of them.
There's three payrolls. Thank you, Linda. Three biweekly payrolls in this month. Pensions of $14,473.03. Direct accounts payable of $635,360.69, and regular accounts payable of $211,722.13, for a grand total of $1,505,770.22. So it's over $1.5 million. On the direct accounts payable, we've got civil engineering consultants for $33,199 for Locust Street Engineering. We also have them under redevelopment as well as Bona Vita Architecture for about $29,594.60. And just regular accounts payable in there, trash and utilities and insurance, that total of $48,445. But then the Foyt's Construction for $524,121.76 for the Zinc Mill project, Zinc Mill Road project. So that makes up the $635,360.69. Under regular accounts payable, we've already mentioned the Archive Social. That's $12,847.80. That's what Linda had previously discussed and brought us up to date on. We got some body cameras, and that's $50,076.50. It said body camera payment. Is that one of more than one?
It's annual kind of payment.
It's an annual payment. Okay. We've got Burge Boots for some uniforms for both the police and for the street and cemetery, that total over $2,000 between the two of them. We've got storm sewer materials for Cash Concrete for $1,280. We've got park house repairs for $980 to Chris Construction. Cyber policy renewal, insurance policy with Epic Insurance for $11,697. We've got a police car payment of $7761.19, and that's for how many? 3?
2.
Just 2, okay. We have our $10,000 to the Humane Society of Putnam County for their annual support, and I think that was kind of alluded to, that one of the, and I don't know where it went to, I had it here. I saw it one time, but that they presented a thank you in there and a discussion of some of the things. We've got Hannum, Waggle, and Klein HWC Engineering for park pool improvements for $9,257. The Clean City Day for $10,320 to Jack's Trash. Joe Spiker, we've got street. There's $5,440 in 2 different claims there. We've got some edit monies to McLeod Electric for $3,517. Pagers and radios for the fire department for Raycom for $3,624. We've got building permit software to South Central Planning and Development for the fire department, for, like I said, for building permit software, and that's $6,068. And Wabash Valley for some street materials for $3,244. Those are some of the highlights, maybe too many of the highlights, but with those elaborations on that, I would move to approve the claims that total $1,505,770.22.
Mark, what was it you said the body cameras cost again?
$50,000.
And that's yearly?
$76.50.
Linda, is that a year, going to be $50,000 a year?
No, it's, the first year is more than.
Okay. I mean, we need them,
But
I'm
they
just
can,
curious.
but then they get them, and then when they get old, then
Yeah,
they can,
it's a-
then they get updated,
Yeah.
and that there's something great that comes, they can trade them in. I mean, it's,
Oh, no, I mean, it's worth it. I just was surprised how big it was.
It's also more than the cameras, it also includes.
Service
the
contract.
Storage.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't
The
have to
cloud
maintain the
storage, yeah.
server. They provide cloud storage for it, so it's a better system than our previous system, so.
Just curious.
I'll second Mark's motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Claims are approved. Under old business, we have 5 items, 3 ordinances to read by title only on second reading. The first of those is ordinance 2020-9. This is an ordinance amending sections 9-11, 9-12, 9-13, 9-14, 9-15, 9-16, 9-17, and 9-21 of the Greencastle City Code approving water rates and charges. And this is the ordinance that does outline all the new water rates and charges that will go into effect early next year. So happy to entertain a motion on that.
So I'll make a motion to adopt ordinances, I have to read them all? 20-9, 20-11.
nope, just
No,
20-9.
we're talking just 20-9.
Okay, that's easy, 20-9.
I will second Adam's motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2020-9 on second reading. Is there any further questions or discussion?
Again, that when Bill said it goes into effect first, early next year, that'll be on
February.
on your February, the bill's due February 10th, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Any further questions? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstention? The ordinance passes. Linda has a signature copy, so before everybody leaves tonight, make sure things get signed. Next ordinance is ordinance 2020-11, and this is the ordinance that terminates the first responder COVID-19 benefit. Again, this is second reading by title only. I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2020-11.
I blew it last time. I'm not making any more motions.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 2020-11.
I will second Stacy's motion.
I guess the only question I have is the fourth whereas says, whereas Governor Holcomb has now declared the state of Indiana is now in stage 5 of reopening, and yesterday he said we're no longer in stage 5. He didn't roll us back, but he... So I don't know if that has any bearing on this passage or not, but...
I would have to ask Lori on that one. It's, I don't know if it makes that much of a difference or
We're
not.
kind of getting to the point where we may not be able to afford to continue doing it.
I would make the motion, unless we have to reword it to comply, that I'll second the motion, and if we have to reword it, we'll reword it.
I think we already had a second, so...
Oh, then just go with it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, the ordinance passes on second reading. Next ordinance is ordinance 2020-12. This is an ordinance amending ordinance 2019-6, an ordinance establishing the size of the departments of city government of the city of Greencastle, Indiana, fixing salaries for the employees of such departments, and fixing the salaries of certain other appointed officials for the year 2020. And this is the ordinance to correct the softball fees. Rod, did you pass out your softball report?
It went out via email or in this packet. But does somebody have a question in or it did go
Did not go
out?
out.
All right.
Because I don't remember seeing it.
Somebody tell me what was in it, because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I
None
didn't.
of us have.
When we talked the other day, you were gonna update it based on the last softball game, so the packets went out before that.
Oh, I've got copies.
The one about the hazard fee, we haven't seen that.
We haven't seen that.
Here, I got it here. I'm just putting the dates and times in it.
If you're gonna
One
get
up
the
stapled, one
report,
up
it is attached to the back side of that.
Thank you.
Yes, we had ball games last night, so we did update. I did update that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I'll also give you this while we're talking about that. This is a newsletter I put out during the season, which of course talks about standings, game results. At the very bottom, you'll also see that we reminded everybody of the USA softball recommendations for the COVID-19 pandemic. As a reminder. All right. So yes, you have my copy, and that toward the back, the 2020 revenue versus expense report. I would like to report that in the summer, we were able to draw 5 teams, which is about half of what we normally would during a softball season. But we had 5 teams that expressed interest in playing, and within a captain's meeting got them to agree to the recommendations that were put out by USA Softball. This fall we were able to draw 6 teams. We also had 2 tournaments held where we had a church, and then the annual breast cancer awareness tournament held the first weekend in October, where they leased the field. But on this report, we start off with our revenues, which I hope you got, because it looks like I left mine out of my, yeah, there it is. Okay, so we start with our cash balance, and we talk about the revenues brought in during the 2 seasons. Our predicted expenditures, which of course are not over yet. We do have our final championship matches on Monday night this next week, and we'll be wrapping up the season following that. If we hold to all the games as scheduled, remember in a double elimination tournament, the last game could not be played or possibly not played because the one team wins it outright. If all the games are played, we do have a predicted $96.50 loss for the season. But as I stated at the beginning, and in my director's report, we chalking it up to COVID-19. Team registrations are down from years past. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the Putnam County Church League did not hold their season this year, thus not leasing the Roban Park softball field. In regards to the predicted loss for the season, when I purchased softballs, which I needed to do for entering the fall season, I was not going to have enough. I usually buy 2 seasons at a time because I can get a better deal in greater quantity. And then the softball season and tournament is completed again, double elimination format. The last game may not be played, which will eliminate about $54 in officials and scorekeepers for that ball game, which will bring us closer to breaking even. So if you keep in mind that yes, we do have we're in the middle of the pandemic, but we do have teams that want to play, and for the most part, okay. Face coverings, you don't wear them when you're on the softball field, but when they come off, they are spreading out, and we're pretty well doing the social distancing thing. And if you see, and even in the photos that we took of the team photos, we kind of strayed from the shoulder to shoulder team photo. I had a ladder and I took a picture looking down on the team with them scattered throughout the infield. So, but that's the report. Anybody have any questions, or I was told Mayor and Linda let me know you guys had some questions. Can I answer those at this time?
So what's here in red, that's what's yet to be spent.
Correct. So we have not seen those expenses yet, right? So
everything else has been spent.
Everything else has been seen, yes.
So this motion is just to put the salary of the director of softball back into the salary ordinance, correct?
For this year, for 2020.
Was it in there last year?
No, that's what in 2019, when we passed the ordinance, it was left out by mistake. And so it is to actually pay him here, now.
I got you. And we paid, but, okay, then going back to the previous year,
yeah,
we had it in there, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it in there for next year?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Okay. That's why I was just getting confused. I see what you're doing now.
Yeah, it was just totally, I don't know what happened. Probably cut and paste. Sometimes what we did, and it got deleted. Because the basketball's in there, just not the softball.
Right. That's what I thought, okay.
Yeah.
I move to approve ordinance 2020-12.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2020-12. Any further questions or discussion?
Would it be safe to say that under normal circumstances, it usually shows a profit? So
that's where we accumulated the 21,000 going into cash balance, correct? Yes.
Past years.
Right, yes. Okay. So, thank you.
Other questions? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance passes. Next item of business is correction of ordinance numbers, so I'll let Linda take care of that.
So there was a couple of ordinance that we did early on that ended up being 6 and 7 to begin with. Well, when we put together the budget things, they became 6 and 7. So I'm asking you to allow me to change those 2 ordinances to, I believe it was 13 and 14. They were in your packet with a line drawn through them.
Second.
Dave Maroon, is that-
Housekeeping.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second to allow for those changes. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item is approval for employee bonuses. This was put in our salary ordinance last year, and basically because we have our insurance holiday, the out-of-pocket cost for the city is relatively modest, $6,105.58 from the general fund and $6,674.96 from utilities. So it'd be my recommendation to council to approve the bonuses. I would like to make one request, however. I'm considered an employee, but I'd like to have my name removed from the bonus list because it appears to be self-serving because I'm making the recommendations. So I would ask that council include that in their motion.
I make a motion, we approve paying bonuses, ordinance 2019-6, with the exception of Mayor Dory. That's a little sad, but...
I don't think it's appropriate because I'm the one making the recommendation.
What pay period would they receive this?
Next pay period, the first pay period in December. I'm sorry, the first pay period in December. That's what the salary ordinance clearly states. And it does state, I will tell you, in Bill's, in his thing, it does state that if, even though he's recommending that the mayor and the clerk treasurer would be paid them in the event. So, I mean, the money's there. The money's more there than it was.
I'm not accepting Linda out, just myself.
But I'm just saying, it does state in the salary ordinance that, you know, you guys approved to pay those the last time, so.
I think the numbers look good, but can somebody, for the public's sake, 84% of the bonuses are covered by the AIM Medical Trust. Somebody help me understand that.
Basically, because the trust has done pretty well this year, we will not pay our 12th payment. So we're receiving that savings, and also our employees will not be charged an insurance fee for the month of December, because the trust has done pretty well this year, and so they're passing on some of the savings to the member communities.
I make a motion that we approve the bonuses.
I'd like to argue that we amend the bonus to put Bill back in.
We've got two motions, one just as is, one without Bill, and so.
Oh, wait, now I'm confused.
Yeah,
Stacy made the first motion.
So.
And I thought you seconded Stacy's motion.
No, he made a motion too, and he just said to pay him, so.
Stacy made the motion, which would exempt myself, which I'm fine with. And so, Dave, are you making a second to Stacy's motion?
I'd like to see you get paid. I think you more than earned the bonus. So.
You're all.
Yeah, so we need to.
You're singing the same song.
We need to address Stacy's motion first.
Right.
So it could die for lack of a second, or it could be amended.
Or it could be passed.
Or it could be passed.
Or it could be passed.
I'll withdraw it. Do I need to withdraw it?
You can.
I'll withdraw
That's
it.
your option.
Yeah. Linda, can you speak to this a little bit, how this pot of money has absolutely nothing to do with water rates, and this is something that was set apart last year when we really struggled, and we gave our employees, what, a 2% raise or something? I mean,
So
just for the public, let them know that they're completely different and we can't mix the money, just so people are clear.
Right, so last year, during the budget process, we gave $1,200 raises at the beginning of the year, and then the council said they would like to see what happened, and they put in the salary ordinance. It's cleared out, it's that every employee that is a full-time employee will receive a $1,000 bonus. If you work for the city of Greencastle for 90 days, if you're a new employee, then your bonus will be prorated, and it will be paid in the first pay period of December. It was all approved in the salary ordinance. So it's in our budget. We are doing really well in our budget. Whether we got the this insurance gift, basically from AIM, actually we'd still have the money to pay the budgets, you know. But we have now been given this opportunity from AIM that because what had happened is during COVID, we did not have as many surgeries and non-essential surgeries, or there's a word for it, but anyways, things so that elective surgeries, I couldn't think. Elective surgeries. So since AIM did not have all those insurance costs, they didn't have as much money that they put out. So there was money. They also knew that, you know, some communities were having a harder time, so they have allowed for us not to pay any insurance premium next month. So that makes it very easy, that basically it covers our, you know, what we were paying for bonuses. So it's kind of an extra special. This was money that was budgeted this year. You know, it really doesn't have anything to do with the water rates or
Money is not fungible to the utility.
No, and the utility, of course, they will not be paying the insurance premiums either, and so, you know, it's almost a wash.
The reality is, the salary study said we're not paying our employees enough. This is just one way. You know, next year we made great strides, but this is a way to help them out this year when we weren't able to.
Indeed.
So, who's got one motion?
Okay. Who wants to make a
Boss,
motion?
where are we at?
I think, did you withdraw your?
I can withdraw my motion.
Would you like to start over with a new one, though?
But Dave has one.
I'd be glad to make a motion that we approve pay employee bonuses per ordinance 2019-6 for all city employees.
Full time.
I will second that motion. For the Colts.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bonuses for all city employees.
Can we add and elected officials?
And elected officials.
Our mayor and clerk treasurer? Okay.
Full-time elected officials, because we're not getting
Yeah,
it.
not
We're not getting it.
council.
Yep, okay.
Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. The recommendation passes, so Linda will take care of that as part of payroll coming up in December. That closes out our old business. New business, we have several items. I would ask for the indulgence of council if we could move up to item A, ordinance 2020-16, which is for parking, because Gail Smith is here, and this was part of her comments to members of the council as well as myself in terms of some parking issues downtown. So is that okay with the council to make that adjustment?
Yes.
Okay, I will read ordinance 2020-16, an ordinance amending section 8-26 of the Greencastle City Code regarding schedule of limited parking zones. Whereas section 826 of the Greencastle City Code lists the limited parking zones within the city of Greencastle, and whereas the Common Council wishes to update its list of limited parking zones. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle that section 8-26 schedule of reserved parking spaces is hereby amended as follows. A, the following limited parking spaces shall be added. Franklin Street, 1 parking space adjacent to the crosswalk between Jackson Street and Indiana Street with a time limit of 10 minutes. Indiana Street, 1 parking space adjacent to the crosswalk between Franklin Street and Washington with a time limit of 10 minutes. The following shall be amended. Indiana Street on both sides from Columbia to Poplar Street will be 2-hour limit. All other provisions contained within 8-26 of the Greencastle City Code shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall have the full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor with proper signature lines. The request came in from Gail, and I think some comments were made by some of our other restaurants downtown. It'd be nice to have some spaces available for pickup. I was at a meeting a month or so ago in Columbus, Indiana, and they have done something similar down there. Their parking ordinance is considerably different than ours, and they have a lot more flexibility in their ordinance, so they were able to react a little quicker. And Gail, you're welcome to come up and say anything if you wish. Then item B is there were 2 parking spaces where Breadworks is on Indiana Street that were reserved for the fire department. In one of the other ordinances that we're passing, we're moving those spaces to Poplar Street. So that's the reason why section B is in here.
I think, Mayor,
you want to say anything?
Mayor, it's consistent with everything we've done, so I'll make the motion so if Gail wants to come up, but we've done everything this year to work, we closed for Moore's Bar, we've worked with Wasser, I think everything we can do to help our businesses.
One of the reasons this is on here, and met with Gail, try to stay in touch with the local restaurants, just to see what we can do to help. And she has a lot of older clients for many years, and a friend of ours, former council member and his wife, have not stepped foot inside the restaurant since the pandemic happened. Sue and I have done it one time, and that was from a small wedding party, and they had something in Almost Home reception, and frankly, I was uncomfortable. I went because I felt we needed to do that. And so if you are reluctant to go and sit inside a restaurant to do takeout, if you go through there around Don Julio's and Almost Home, you can't get near the place a lot of times. And so that's the motivation for me to bring this up and try to be supportive of Gail and Don Julio's. And Redworks doesn't have, or Bridges doesn't have a lot of parking immediately around it. One of the comments made in discussing things with various people was, are we going to go ahead and have them requests from Moore's Bar and Tap House Burgers and others? And so I just did an informal count of the spaces. For those businesses, they have the Vine Street lot and the city parking lot. Yeah. And they have about 50% more, along with street side curb, they have about 50% more in parking spaces. And so, happy to talk about other places, but I feel especially strongly that for Gail and her business and for Don Julio's, that this is something that will benefit both of them greatly with particularly older clients, or anybody who's uncomfortable going inside a restaurant at this point.
One space be enough with 2 restaurants on the north side. And,
Well,
I mean, it's 10 minutes, so.
I don't want to get greedy.
No, I know.
See how it's going to work.
Mhm.
But I think it's funny. Well, it's not funny. It's just kind of ironic being downtown for 30 years, and I've always bitched about parking. And, you know, it's always been a struggle. And quite frankly, in the last 5 years, it's so much improved with all the added parking lots. But still, there's just more cars seem to grow downtown. But, you know, that just seemed like a great solution because, as Dave said, you know, our clientele are older and it's just so much more convenient. And if that helps my carryout business even 10%, that's huge. So, I'm very thrilled that you're doing this. It will be helpful.
And it just so happens that Brad has some 10-minute parking signs in stock, so they're ready to go. They're ready to go, he says, and
with one to spare.
And they can be used for other businesses too, like Old National and people paying child support or whatever who need to make quick dashes into someplace, and so it'll make it get a lot more turnover hopefully downtown.
I move to approve ordinance 2020-16.
I'll second that motion.
I'll second.
Give it to Cody.
We'll give Cody a second because he's the... So we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2020-16 on first reading. Any further questions or discussions?
Now, this is just on first reading, so I don't know whether you had talked about waiving. I thought you had talked about waiving.
I'd be up for that.
Can we do that?
Well, it has to be by 2/3 vote of the entire body.
I think the only time we've done it.
The only time you've done it is
Been
with
for
the COVID. Since I've been here.
Yeah, same here.
It's the only time.
I mean, this isn't, we got to get the first
We've
thing
got to
passed.
finish this motion
Yes.
first. So we have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance as presented. Any further discussion relative to this first reading? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Okay, the ordinance does pass on first reading now.
I'll make a motion that we waive, what do we?
Second
what am I-
reading.
The requirement.
The requirement to wait to do second reading.
I'll second it.
I don't want to make this like a habit, but I think.
Yeah, that's the one thing that,
But on the other hand,
why wait a month?
why wait a month when we can help a business tonight? This is obviously not a controversial decision. No one even raised any issues, so I'll leave my motion to stand.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to waive the requirements for second reading at a separate meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or any abstentions? Okay, now that requirement has been waived, it's passed, so we can consider ordinance 2020-16 on second reading by title only. An ordinance amending section 8-26 of the Greencastle City Code regarding schedule of limited parking spaces. Do I have a motion to approve on second reading?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2020-16 on second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, motion, the ordinance passes on the second reading. So thanks, Gail.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
So that is
Somebody down there
Tell
can-
Andrew.
Yeah.
He's already, he's waiting to hear, so.
I hope that this helps you, Don Julio's, Bridges, all the people that don't have a parking lot nearby within a good, short distance.
Thank you.
I do want to mention that I had a meeting earlier today with the Chamber and Main Street and Tourism, and much of our discussion was, trying to, what can we do to help out the small business, encourage carry out and things like that. So there's some things, in the works with Small Business Saturday coming up and some things. So they'll be getting around to the merchants. So thanks for being there. Okay, our next, returning to our regular agenda, our next item is Resolution 2020-11, a resolution establishing a capital asset management policy. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Greencastle acknowledges that sound accounting principles and responsible fiscal management require a policy for the purpose of capitalizing, depreciating, and estimating the useful lives of the City of Greencastle depreciable assets, whereas the Common Council further acknowledges that a capital asset management policy provides the city more control over its investments in capital assets and demonstrates financial accountability to the city's citizens and regulatory entities, whereas the capital asset management policy is attached and includes the capital asset useful life, and whereas all details about all capital assets and other assets can be obtained by contacting the Clerk Treasurer's Office. Now therefore be it resolved that the Greencastle Common Council approves the attached capital asset management policy and useful life table. Now this is a resolution, so it only needs one passage. I don't think I need to read the whole management policy, but I'll turn the floor over to Linda so she can summarize or offer a quick explanation.
So we are now required by the State Board of Accounts, the Indiana State Board of Accounts, to have this policy. So it basically spells out our method that we're going to use, what the thresholds are, what the useful lives are, and those I did not make up. They're what the State Board of Accounts recommends. What happens when we retire assets, if we get donations. So just different things that we have to put in our policy and have. And then how we calculate this will go forth on our annual report. So it's a requirement that we have to do. So anybody have any questions about that?
Just interesting to read the useful life numbers of what, a building or a road or something would be. Does the state establish those figures?
Yeah, the State Board of Accounts established some of those.
I guess I'd like to make it clear for the public that if we can get a longer life out of something,
We keep them?
we keep it.
We keep it, yeah, we do.
I think many of you who've been on council know that, particularly in the vehicle arena, we get our money's worth out of our vehicles.
Yeah, the useful life on vehicles is 6 years.
6 years.
And all I can do is smile and shake my head. Brad Phillips has stuff that goes back to the Civil War. I'm still operating in the street department.
So I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2020-11.
I'll make the motion to pass Resolution 2020-11.
Okay, I'll entertain a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2020-11. Any further questions or discussion?
Linda, I'm just glad that you didn't have to come up with these lives. I'm glad the state did. Tax code's a whole lot easier. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot less lives. So,
Don't be surprised if we do this again in a couple of years after the state comes back and says, oh, now you've got to follow the tax code regulations or something.
Well,
I'm glad I don't have to worry. I'm glad I don't have to learn all these different lives.
yeah, it's been fun. We do add last year, the end of last year, a new module to our accounting system.
Right.
So we've been trying to get them all put in and right, and it's been fun.
And I'm sure that the software has all those lives in there. You just have to put in and stuff.
Well, we have to manually put them in.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. We have to manually put them in as we put the assets in, so we've worked a little while on this, so.
Okay.
But this is the first step, so.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, Resolution 2020-11 passes. We're sending around signature copies. Okay, next item of business is Resolution 2020-12, a resolution to provide for reimbursement of public health and public safety payroll costs with CARES Act funding. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Greencastle is seeking reimbursement of public health and public safety payroll cost as allowed through federal CARES Act funding, which has been received by the City of Greencastle from the Indiana Finance Authority. And whereas there has been designated by City of Greencastle a CARES Act fund through which such reimbursements are received, and whereas the payroll expenditure activity for public health and public safety payroll costs shall be captured in the CARES Act grant fund by transferring the expenditures from the fund from which the expenditures were originally made, and whereas in light of the governor's public health emergency, an alternative process is being implemented to transfer all or a portion as determined appropriate by the governing body of the City of Greencastle of the reimbursed federal CARES Act monies that are specific to public health and/or public safety payroll costs into the general fund, and whereas the process contemplated herein is intended to allow for maximum usage of these funds, now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle hereby establishes the following process in order to utilize CARES Act funding to properly pay public health and public safety payroll costs. The CARES Act reimbursement for public health and public safety payroll shall be receipted into the City of Greencastle CARES Act Fund 151, and thereafter a claim shall be created against the CARES Act Fund for the amount up to the payroll reimbursement amount that the City of Greencastle determines shall be receipted into the general fund. This claim must be supported by the public health and/or public safety payroll costs that have been expensed from the general fund or other appropriate funds and clearly documented in the records of the City of Greencastle. And the money claimed shall be receipted into the general fund. After the payroll reimbursement amount has been receipted into the general fund, the normal appropriation procedure shall apply to the expenditure of the reimbursement amount. Now therefore be it passed and resolved by the Greencastle Common Council at a regular meeting this 12th day of November 2020 with signature lines. I will then turn it over to Linda so that she can explain the reason for adopting this resolution.
So we were eligible for $341,000 and some odd dollars, which we have received. It started off that we had to send them invoices based on certain criteria of the CARES Act. Then it got changed to we could just send them all of our payroll costs for that period of time, and they would send us the money. So that's, in fact, I had already submitted partial requests for expenses. They called me out and said, hey, just send us all your payroll stuff and we'll just send you the money. So what will happen, basically, and they said you need a resolution to basically state that. So this is what this is. This is kind of a boilerplate resolution that's allowed. So we will receipt it into Fund 151, the $341,000. We have a few items that we spent out of that fund, the things for the school, which is about $40,000, and then the net of that will go into the general fund, okay? That money will go into the general fund. It's going to set in the general fund. It's not going to be spent, but it will be saved for budget year 2022. So it'll just hang out there as a cash reserve, and which is totally acceptable. Then we can decide how we're going to spend it at any point in time.
I move that we approve Resolution 20-12, the resolution to provide for reimbursement of public health and public safety payroll costs through CARES Act funding.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2020-12. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes as presented. Next item of business is Ordinance 2020-15. This is first reading. An ordinance amending Ordinance 2018-6, establishing an employee handbook for employees of the City of Greencastle. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Greencastle passed Ordinance 2018-6, establishing an employee handbook for the City of Greencastle employees. Whereas the Common Council wishes to update certain provisions contained in the employee handbook relating to the employee benefits program. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle that the City of Greencastle Employee Handbook, which is incorporated herein, is hereby amended as follows. 1. Section 305, Holidays. The paragraph regarding floating holidays shall be deleted. 2. Section 307, Sick Leave Benefits. A. The second full paragraph of the section shall be amended as follows. Upon the date of hire, eligible employees will begin accruing 8 hours of paid sick leave benefit for each month worked, with a cap of 288 hours. Police Department employees who work 12-hour shifts shall accrue 8 hours of paid sick leave benefits for each month worked, with a cap of 288 hours. Fire Department employees who work 24-hour shifts shall accrue 10.61 hours of paid sick leave benefits for each month worked, with a cap of 384 hours. Any sick leave accrued over the above amounts shall be forfeited. Several items were stricken there. The 8 hours is a reduction from 12 hours, and 24 hours is reduced to 10.61 hours. And the cap of 552 for the fire department is reduced to 384. Item B, the table showing the amount of an employee shall be paid for unused sick time if he or she leaves employment after 20 years of service shall be amended as follows. Type of employee, 8-hour shift employees and 12-hour shift employees shall be paid $6.25 per unused sick leave benefit hour. 24-hour shift employees shall be paid $4.69 per unused sick leave benefit hour. C, the last paragraph of the first section under section 307 shall be amended to read as follows. Employees may bank up to a maximum of 288 unused sick leave hours or 384 unused sick leave hours for fire department employees who work 24-hour shifts. The number 552 is stricken in that paragraph. Employees who terminate employment with the City of Greencastle shall not be compensated for accrued but unused sick leave benefits unless the employee meets the 20-year employment requirement stated above. All other terms and conditions contained in the City of Greencastle Employee Handbook not inconsistent herewith shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall take effect January 1st, 2021, and upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor, passed and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle this blank day of blank 2020 with proper signature lines. Laura, do you want to?
Have the most recent version. We added a section. Do you all have that one with that section?
No. I don't have that one either. Which one?
The one with the overtime compensatory time, flex time, the 28 days to 14 days, 86 hours for
Nope.
the police department.
No, I don't have that one.
There was an additional section, section 507. Section 507, overtime compensatory time, flex time. The second paragraph under the police department employees heading shall read as follows. All full-time police officers of the police department who are engaged in law enforcement activities will be compensated in accordance with Section 7K, partial overtime pay exemption of the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA. In conjunction with the use of Section 7K, the City of Greencastle further adopts the use of a 14-day rather than 28-day, 14-day work period for the purposes of determining compensation for overtime hours worked. Based upon the foregoing, the annual hourly rates for full-time employees of the police department as set forth in the City of Greencastle's annual salary ordinance constitutes straight-time compensation for all regularly scheduled hours of employment during each work period. All full-time police officers of the police department will be paid straight-time compensation up to 86 hours instead of 168 hours, or 160 hours, of regular employment during each work period. Overtime pay will be accrued for all time worked in excess of 86 hours during a work period. Overtime earned during a work period will be paid in the first regularly scheduled paycheck, blah, blah, blah. The rest is all the same. So it changes from 14-day, or from 28-day to 14-day. Anyway, that's...
I can talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we did talk about that.
We did talk about it, and she updated it, it never got sent out. So basically, after we had met with the police department, they had done some research and found that some communities allow a 14-day cycle instead of a 28-day cycle. And as you recall, and when we talked about the budget, we were going to move them to 171 hours instead of their current 160. So basically, Tom and I talked. I went through and took all the overtime hours that they had worked and converted them into a 14-day pay period and then compared it with the current 28-day pay period. Most of our police officers work 84 hours in a 2-week period of time. So, it's time they're going to work anyways. So, after the analysis, it does cost the city a little bit more. We're talking $5,000 or $6,000 more a year. Tom's aware of that when you do it at 86 hours versus waiting till the 171 hours. They could happen a little sooner. And because of if somebody takes sick leave in the 28-day cycle, it counts then as straight time. But if they would take sick leave in a 2-week period, then they could easily get overtime in the second part if they work over the hours. Okay?
Does that make sense, Deborah?
Does that make sense?
You'll accrue overtime sooner.
They can accrue it a little bit. They can accrue it a little quicker. But based on history of what they've done, it's not anything major. But what it does do for us and the police department, and police doing their time in general, it solves a huge payroll nightmare and continuing to accumulate those hours. I mean, Encode, our software kind of does it, but there's still a lot of time that Tom has to spend in making sure it's correct. And so basically now their pay sheets and everything will last just boom, boom, boom.
It'll be tied exactly to every
yes.
period. It will stand on its own.
And I will tell you right now, the way we've done payroll with both the police and fire has kind of been a little, we've plugged numbers to do their first pays to get into their, second. So the next question is, we can't do it with fire. We can't let them do a 14 because we can't afford it. Because the way they're set up is they work a 96-hour shift in 2 weeks, and then they work 120. And you have to split that 106 and 106. So we'd be okay the first, but to pay overtime on 120, we can't do it. And they're aware of that. They know the police is. We've talked to John about it, but what will happen with them is they will go to actual hours worked too. So their payroll is going to get a little easier too. Right now, their first pay cycle, we always put in 106 hours. They might only work 96. So in a reality, we've kind of not had exact payroll, but they're going to go to actual hours. They're okay with that. I've done some analysis for them. They're good with that. So it's going to make our payroll for police and fire so much easier. And it will be all based on actual time, so.
I like actual time and I like easy.
Yep, so.
Key words.
So I know it might cost us a few, but Tom's aware of it and we will monitor it. We're going to, if you guys pass this, we would like to try it for a year. If it doesn't work, we'll have to go back to them. And they're all aware of that. The 28-day cycle may have to go, 14 may go back to 28, but from a payroll standpoint and, all that. Plus, it was another way that the police didn't feel like, by going to the 2-week cycle, it wasn't such a hard hit from going to 160 to 171.
It will not cost us more for the fire department. It will just cost us more for the police department.
You'll still have to keep track of that 28-day period for the fire department like you've done.
Yeah,
currently for both
they will
police and
continue
fire.
their 28-day cycle just like they do now.
But it'll simplify everything and make it
It's just going to
real
simplify
time.
it.
For the police.
Yeah.
We'll be saving money by getting rid of floating holidays and changing the sick days, sick time.
Yeah.
We think the sick days will cut back on, because now it's going to take 2.5 months to regain a day lost for the, fire. And you guys had all talked about that during the budget time, that you wanted to see these happen anyway, so that was part of it.
Can we make a motion without having that extra paragraph and then the second reading
Yeah, it'll be in
goes
the
in
second
there?
reading one.
That's why I was
And I can
wondering,
send it out.
since none of us had that, and we listened to it and listened to the discussion, can we just go ahead and pass this? Would that be appropriate? And then in second reading, we'll have that added, and we'll pass it on second reading.
Have to remember to make that amendment next time.
Okay.
And I guess for the benefit of our two great people that stayed through an entire council meeting, this is all trying to clean up from a year ago when we started doing some studies on what we pay people, and we discovered that we were what we suspected, but we were pretty much rock bottom across the board. So we're trying to get our police and fire to at least somewhere in the middle.
I'll make a motion, we pass ordinance 2020-15 on first reading, knowing there will be an amendment coming on second reading. Does that work, Lori?
I second.
We have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2020-15 on first reading as presented. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, passes on first reading. Last item of new business is ordinance 2020-17. This is an ordinance amending section 8-24 of the Greencastle City Code regarding schedule of reserved parking spaces. Whereas section 8-24 of the Greencastle City Code lists the reserved parking spaces within the city of Greencastle. And whereas the Greencastle Fire Department is in need of additional parking, now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle that Section 8-24, Schedule of Reserved Parking Spaces, is hereby amended to include the following. The following is being removed. Indiana Street, 3 spaces on the east side of Walnut Street, and between, I'm sorry, three spaces on the east side between Walnut Street and Poplar Street are reserved at all times for vehicle of the fire chief and fire department personnel, no time limit. Those 3 are being removed. The following are being added. Indiana Street, 1 space on the east side between Walnut and Poplar Street is reserved at all times for fire department personnel, no time limit. This is the space immediately in front of the fire station. Poplar Street, first 2 spaces along the south side immediately east of Indiana Street are reserved at all times for fire department personnel, no limit, no time limit. Now therefore be it further ordained that all other language in Section 8-24 not specifically amended hereby shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall have full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor, passed and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, the blank day of blank month, 2020, with proper signature lines. And this kind of ties into what we talked about with Breadworks. I will entertain a motion for the passage of ordinance 2020-17 on first reading.
I will make a motion to pass ordinance 2020-17 on first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2020-17 on first reading. Is there any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
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 Okay, that concludes our business for the evening. I will gladly entertain a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
There you go.
Call back into work, so yes.
Anyone want to second that on behalf of the Colts?
On the Colts. Are they winning?
No.
No, they're down.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you very much. Those of you who are online, thank you for attending this evening.
Is it bad?
Thank you. Have a good night.
Well, we got a lot done.
Thank you both for staying.
Yes, thank you.
Been enjoyable.
Really?
We'll see you again next month.
That's a stretch.